I've seen a couple people mention not knowing how to get their tools sharp, so today I'm going to try and show you that before my wife gets home and realizes I'm making TikToks instead of doing my housework. If you've seen any of my other TikToks, you've seen me using this granite countertop leftover as a workbench. It's a dead flat surface, it's very smooth, it cleans up easily from glue and a lot of other things. So what I've done is I've gone ahead and cleaned it off really well. I used a scraper and just made sure I don't have any bumps or ridges in this thing before I get started. Alright, what we're going to be working with today, the items we want to sharpen. I've got a plane blade for a hand plane that I don't own. I've got a cheap chisel that I use for all sorts of random things. I've got 4 grits of sandpaper, 400, 800, 1000, and 1200. I cut them into strips already because I'm going to be getting them wet and I don't want to get the whole sheet wet and then waste it because it was wet already and I put it back in the drawer to get funky or moldy or anything like that. And the last thing we need is this tool right here. This is going to be a guide for holding these sharp edges at the angle they need to be at while I run them across the sandpaper. It's all pretty simple. One last thing, a Sharpie or a marker. I lost my Sharpie again, obviously, as I do. Setting up a plane blade in this is super easy. I'm going to place it in the holder. Tighten this guy down, leave it just a little bit loose, and I like to get down low on my flat surface and make sure that I have that beveled edge set against the flat surface. Tighten that just a skosh with a screwdriver, not too much, you'll never get it undone. And then use our Sharpie, or in this case, my Expo marker, to leave a black edge on there so that we can see what we're taking off. First up, I've got some 400 grit sandpaper. I'm going to dampen that up. Nothing to this. You see how that took all of the Expo marker off? It's because I got it perfectly flat the first try. Never really happens, but it happened this time. So we'll just take it. All right. I'm gonna run this across the 400 grit a handful of times. And you're gonna feel a little burr on the backside. There should be a little bit of resistance when you run your finger across the backside. To clean that up, I'm going to bring this over to my edge, and I'm going to keep it flat and pull it back across this sandpaper. Alright, no real burr on either side. I'm going to move up to the next grit. Each grit that you go up is going to leave less and less of a burr on the backside. There'll be less work for you to do to remove that burr. When it's all done, you should have a nice polished edge. For the chisel, the process is pretty much the same, but the part of the holder that you're going to use is a little bit different. Skipped a step. For this chisel, I don't want to clean the whole face of this thing off. I just want right along the edge. Now you could use fancy sharpening stones. You could use one of those multi-hundreds of dollars Tormek tools to sharpen these things up, but if you just have daily user tools that you just need to put a new edge on, I found this is the easiest and simplest way to do it. I'm not sponsored by anybody. This is just a really good tool to have in your toolbox. You can use it for sharpening hand plane blades. You can use it for sharpening chisels. It doesn't take a lot of effort. You don't need any fancy stones or anything like that. You can get them, but you don't need them. Just some regular sandpaper from the big box store or your local discount store will do. And the edge that they give is still pretty workable. You can make some nice shavings with these, or you can stab the crap out of some things with these if you want. Up to you. However, I highly recommend you keep one of these in your toolbox if you're using any sharp tools.